Hello and welcome to my kitchen. Happy Motivational Monday. This video has nothing to do with food, but there is a fridge here, so I am sorry if you get a little bit hungry. What do we have? Olives. Highly recommend these babies. Albacore tuna. We got some bananas. I'm sorry, Aldi, like I love you, but this tuna is freaking really poor quality. I just feel like my stomach gets really sad when I eat this tuna. These are my favorite things of all time. Perfect bars. Oh my. All right, anyways, I did say that this video had nothing to do with food and I just made it about food, so I apologize. But this video actually has to do with motivation. Surprise! Listen, guys, I understand that it can be very hard to motivate yourself to get up, to go to the gym, to get going into a routine, to not absolutely freaking hate what you're doing because the exercise you're doing just feels like an obligation to stay healthy. You don't really have any friends at the gym. You don't feel motivated. You really just don't enjoy it. And you feel like you have such a long distance to go that every time you get started, you just end up getting discouraged because you realize, wow, I've been doing this for 2 weeks and I haven't gotten anywhere and I have a long way to go. So you know what? I'm just gonna go back to my couch and potato chips and whatever else. Listen, guys, I understand it is freaking hard to motivate yourself sometimes. And motivation can come from multiple different sources and come to us in different ways. But one of the ways is through a change in perspective. So today in this message, I really want to talk about perspective. And this video is inspired by a guy named Nick Stanatosia. Nick Stanatosia. Nick Santonastaso. There it is. Last weekend, I had the privilege of hearing Nick speak, and I also had the privilege of meeting him after the speech. And this wasn't just on some little stage. This was actually at Tony Robbins at an Unleash the Power Within event at Tony Robbins in Dallas, Texas. And Nick came on as one of the speakers, and he gave a motivational speech just kind of telling his story, talking about himself, and it was absolutely phenomenal. He was extremely inspirational, and I'm going to show you a picture of Nick here. I'm going to show you a few pictures of Nick just so you can get an idea of who I got to see. So as you can see, Nick has one arm, he has no legs, and he is able to move around by himself without a wheelchair. And he did come on stage all by himself. He uses his one hand to be able to kind of hop back and forth. But Nick was born with hand-heart syndrome, which is a disease where you are born with underdeveloped limbs, underdeveloped organs, and you have about a 30% chance of survival when you are born with this syndrome. So Nick came on and he told his story, and that was just extremely inspirational by itself. I highly recommend going and looking him up on YouTube and kind of hearing his full story, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I just wanted to talk about the two things that really stood out to me that I got out of his speech when he did give his motivational talk. And the first thing that really got ingrained in me was his saying, adapt and overcome. Adapt and overcome, adapt and overcome. You know, just like anybody else, he had big dreams when he was younger and he really, really wanted to wrestle. That was his dream when he was in like middle and high school. And as you can see from those pictures, he has one longer arm and then the other arm is very small, but it actually used to be longer. And he actually made the decision to amputate most of that arm completely off, because if he ever wanted to wrestle, basically what happened with that arm was that bone was almost protruding through his skin, so he could barely put that arm down on anything without it hurting. And to be able to like grapple and go down on the ground and do different things without his bone like actually ripping through his skin, he was going to need to get a skin graft to be able to cover up kind of the nub there so that he is able to perform these types of movements and be safe. So what he had to do to make that happen was he had to actually shave part of that bone off, like 5 inches off of that bone, and then take skin from his shoulder and put it over his arm so that it would be like a little bit of a protection cushion there. And guess what? He did. He did that to be able to fulfill his dream. And it was so funny because he was like, I don't think any kid has come to school the next day after they got their arm amputated and said, guys, I'm so excited, I just chopped my arm off. But he was that excited because he had this dream inside of him to be a wrestler. And you know what? That's what he did. He became a wrestler. In his senior year, he was actually on the varsity team in his school for wrestling. So basically, Nick had pretty much every disadvantage you could possibly think of when you want to do something like wrestling. But what did he do? He adapted and he overcame, and he still was able to make it on that team. And so that's the first thing I learned from him, that really, like, you could have every single disadvantage. You could feel like you have nothing, and you can adapt and you can overcome and you can still go after the freaking things that you want. And the second thing that Nick talked about that really touched my heart and just lit a fire under my ass pretty much was just to be grateful for what we have. He just reminded us to be grateful for what we have. And instead of thinking, you know, whenever you don't want to go to the gym because you're freaking tired or because you're unmotivated or if you just don't want to, okay, whatever excuse in the world, there are millions of excuses you can give yourself to not get out there and get active and stay healthy, is because we say, I don't want to, right? Or we go and we say, oh, I have to. But what if we changed those words and we said, God, I'm so grateful because I get to go work out. Like, after hearing him speak and just looking at my own body and realizing the capabilities that I have and all of the complaints I tell myself and the harsh words I use with myself for my body. And then you see somebody like Nick, who is just like the most motivated, driven, hardworking dude, and gets up, goes to the gym every single day and does what he freaking can. That just made me look at myself like, what, Anja, what are you even complaining about? Like, I am just so grateful that I get to go to the gym and that I get to work out and that I get to use these legs and to go running. Okay, I've always said I freaking hate running and, you know, I still don't absolutely love it, but I am so internally grateful that I get to run because I was born with legs. Not everybody gets that. And so basically, you know, the whole message going back to the beginning when I said that sometimes motivation needs to come in a change of perspective, this is what I mean. When you think to yourself, I have to go to the gym today, change those words and think, I get to go to the gym today. I get to use my body to its full capacity. I get to celebrate my body because I am able to move it, I am able to use it, and I am able to get myself stronger, and I have so many advantages. Just focus on your advantages, not your disadvantages. You get to choose how you see yourself, and you get to choose how you get to treat your body. Okay, and you're either celebrating it or you're criticizing it pretty much at all times. At least for me, that's how I feel. I feel like I'm either celebrating my body or I'm criticizing my body. And I'm really trying to change my perspective so that I am, the majority of the time, I am celebrating my body. All right, and I wore this shirt on purpose, Defy the Odds. I actually got this at Tony Robbins before I even heard Nick speak or anything. But if there's anybody out there that is defying the odds, it is Nick. And Nick, if you ever get to see this video, I just want to thank you for coming out and for speaking to us and for inspiring literally 8,000 people that were there. Just keep doing what you're doing. You were born with a gift and you are blessing this earth with your words and your tenacity for life. So thank you. Anyways, so that's my motivational message for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Go look up some of Nick's stuff. He has a YouTube channel, and I'm sure that you will be immediately inspired. So anyways, guys, have a fantastic week. Go out there, defy the odds, and I'll see you next Monday. Peace.